Hi YouTube, it's me Bergie and I'm here with another video. Now just like I did in the summer, right now I'm doing a check-in on my fall perspective TBR. Now let me tell you, in that video I listed a lot of authors I wanted to read, a lot of books I was looking forward to be purchasing to read, and then a whole just list of books that I wanted to read. Obviously, I knew I wasn't going to get to all of them, but I was hoping to at least make a dent into that list of books I wanted to read. And I think I did pretty okay. I didn't do amazing, but I think for the most part I did what I was wanting to achieve, or at least what I expected to achieve. So in that video, which I recommend you watch that video before this because you might be lost because I'm not going to go into all of the books I listed. But anyway, in that I listed 4 authors I wanted to read, 4 new releases that I was actively wanting to read. There were 2 others I think that were just collectibles really. And then there were 32 books that I wanted to read, 8 of which I owned and 15 of which were like my priority. So in that, I read books from 2 of the authors that I wanted to read. I read 3 out of the 4 new releases, and I read 11 out of the 32 books, 4 out of the 8 that I owned, and 8 out of the 15 that were a priority to me. So pretty okay. I kind of wish to get all of the priority books read, but I had difficulty getting my hands on some of those books. And as for the ones I owned, I just didn't bring them with me when I was in New York, so I didn't have them ready, or I just had other books that I wanted to read more. So let's get into the books that I read out of this list. Just as a warning, I won't be giving you a full review on these books. I'll just be giving you my grading letter that I gave them because I'd be here for way too long. If you want to see more about my thoughts on these books, I will link down my reading wrap-ups for each of the months within the fall season, and I'll list down below which books you can find in which reading wrap-up if you wanted a specific book to hear my thoughts on. So anyway, for the authors, I read The Mysterious Affair at Styles by Agatha Christie, which is her first published book, I'm pretty sure. I gave that a B. And then I read Carrie by Stephen King, again his first published book, which I gave a C-. Now if you guys remember, I want to read books by Agatha Christie and Stephen King in publication order. I kind of failed because with Stephen King I read The Shining a couple of years ago, but I restarted with the first book, which was Carrie. So I did do that, and I was kind of focusing more on Stephen King and Agatha Christie rather than the 2 other authors that I wanted to read. So there, I did pretty well. I kind of wish I read maybe 1 more of each of their books, but for what it's worth, I read at least 1 from those 2, which was my main priority. Now as for new releases, I read Origin by Dan Brown, gave that an A+. I read Before the Devil Breaks You by Libba Bray, which I gave an A, and then I read The Book of Dust, La Belle Sauvage by Philip Pullman, which I gave a B. I did not get to Magnus Chase, the 3rd book that came out in October, because 1, it came out the same day as Origin by Dan Brown and Before the Devil Breaks You by Libba Bray, and which this is completely weird for me. Both of those books were a higher priority than a Rick Riordan book. I know, strange, but I've been looking forward to a new Dan Brown book for years, I feel like. And with the Libba Bray book, I've been kind of in her writing mood. I read the first 2 books earlier this year, and I kind of just wanted to continue before I forgot what happened. And as for The Book of Dust, I read his Dark Materials series earlier this year, and again, I wanted to get to it while that story was kind of fresh in my mind. Now with this book, I will say that it might get a bumped up rating, but with his other books, which I saw, this might be another case of I need to read the entire series before I can rate them, because it kind of fits better as a whole rather than looking at it separately as the separate book. Now as for the other books I read Angels and Demons, I gave an A. The Da Vinci Code, I gave an A. The Lost Symbol, A. And Inferno, another A, all by Dan Brown because I wanted to reread the book before Origin, which is the 5th book in his Robert Langdon series, came out, so I did that. And I was really happy. I love this series so much. I can't emphasize how much I love this series anymore. And I do truly recommend you read it if you have not read this series already. it is very suspenseful and it's about conspiracy theory, so it's got a lot of things that I think most people will enjoy. Then I read The Secret History by Donna Tartt. I gave it an A-. This is one of the books I owned, and I kind of wanted to get into her writing style because I also have The Goldfinch by her, and after reading this book I definitely fell in love with her writing style, and I definitely see myself getting to that book soon. Then I read The Girl on the Train by Paula Hawkins and You by Caroline Kepnes. Both of these are thrillers that have been popular throughout BookTube and off of BookTube for the past couple of years. The hype kind of died down a little bit now, but when they first came out they were both very hyped. And I have to say that I did not agree with it. I gave both books a D, and that was mostly because the characters were crazy unnecessarily, and also they were extremely vulgar, and I just did not mesh well with those characteristics of the books. So yeah, I didn't see the hype. Then I read The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. I gave it a C+. This was not a book I was really planning on reading, but it was available at the library, so I picked it up. Then I read Ready Player One by Ernest Cline, an A-. I should have read this book years ago when it first came out. It's been on my radar since then, so I'm really shocked that I didn't pick it up sooner, but I'm glad I finally did. I also read Jurassic Park by Michael Crichton. I gave it a B. It was exactly what I expected, but I fell in love with one of the characters, and therefore I gave it a little bit of a higher rating. And then finally I read Dracula by Bram Stoker, and I gave it a B-. I have to say, when it comes to gothic monster horror kind of novels, I prefer Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. Now, those are all the books that I read, and even though I had a longer list, there are two books that I'm really sad I didn't get to, and they were The Conspiracy of Us by Maggie Hall and Chasing Shadows, Secret Machines by Tom DeLonge and A.J. Hartley. These two books, if I can get my hands on them, because they were like impossible to find at libraries or bookstores or anything, I'm hoping I'll pick up in December, even though it doesn't fit with my December prospective TBR, which I will have up for you guys soon. So yeah, those are the books that I read in the fall season that were on my fall prospective TBR list. If you guys have any thoughts on these books, I would love to talk to you guys about them. But yeah, that's just my check-in for fall. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.